Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time we're going to have a 4v4 on Lien Forest. Not exactly my favorite map. Landwehr on one side with LL Nyang and Brasras and Vic. So, one UKF plus one Soviet plus one UKF plus one USF. Two British plus, of course, one of each. On the other side, we're going to see Kleinereimer. Yes, Kleinereimer as the Germans, of course, the Wehrmacht, and Robin Luxley supporting him as the Wehrmacht as well. Then we have Ruheschwebelage. Ruheschwebelage. Damn, this name is so hard. He's back in OKW Black, and then you noobs on my team make me sick as the OKW as well, so we're gonna see double OKW there. First engagement going to come down between some Sturmpiles and a lot of infantry coming through for the allies, getting behind those sandbags that might save the Allied troops. However, they're also helping the Sturm Pioneers. Here comes the massive rifle spam of the Soviets with 2 engineers and 1 conscript squad, just kind of focusing down one squad at a time, doing quite well for themselves. And of course, as you can see, the damage for the Axis is being kind of spread out on each of these units and not really focused, which is why the riflemen right now for the Allies are winning this engagement quite handily. In the center, it seems like these Russian troops are going to be able to hold this center VP against those combat engineers for the Germans. On the left-hand side, MGs duking it out along with some mortar support from both sides, and of course, this is going to favor the Allies because of the universal carrier, but there's some Grenadiers capturing the VP, so of course, Kleinereimer is in a pretty good spot to keep himself the VP and do some good work like that. Of course, we need to find some way to defeat the universal carrier. And of course, because there's double Wehrmacht versus, versus the guys on the left-hand side that didn't pull in any of the OKW players with their troops over here, they're actually going to have a bit of a hard time in the early game. They're going to try to actually plant down some barbed wire, which is an interesting choice, preventing the Allies from capturing the munitions point. Of course, they can just kind of send the universal carrier through over here with the wooden planks and get the whole, let's just like that, get the whole area to be ready again for capture. I wonder whether or not they just, they should just do that right now. But yeah, they've got more things to worry about. El Nyang does have a lot of very wounded troops, so he's going to try to hold this house, but he's taking a lot of mortar fire, and so soon enough he's going to be forced away. In the meantime, on the right hand side, the Allies are doing very, very well over here, and as you can see, the conscripts are just kind of pulling through, and along with these infantry sections, they're able to secure the left hand side. They do have a trench set up on the VP, but nobody's in it, so even though there's the Vickers could just easily come in and occupy this trench. However, soon enough, that's not going to be viable anymore because of these German troops that are coming through. So let's hope that the Allies can defend this area. If not, it's just going to be a very, very free capture for the Germans. Germans also setting up some trucks and defending the field point with some barbed wire, which is interesting. Which is interesting because it's kind of making Landwehr take it the long way around, but Landwehr sees the battle group headquarters and now is able to get a lot of damage off, of course, because of all these conscripts coming in and also other troops. The fear of that, we had, of course, you noobs on my team deleting the truck, which was kind of okay, and right now he is coming through with some Volksgrenadiers trying to push the Allies back from his base, and right now he's not having much success, especially because of this Vickers. Vickers in a very narrow corridor are going to be able to pump down a lot of fire and just kind of suppress these Volksgrenadiers, pushing them away. So not a good place to be if you're a German in that area. However, the right-hand side has been recaptured by the German troops. So Ruheschwebelage does have a, of course, flame Sturm Pioneer from the Firestorm Doctrine. It's not going to help his Volksgrenadiers, however, who are getting basically executed by these infantry sections, and yeah, there's no chance for them. In the meantime, in the center, there's yet more Allied sort of penetration. They managed to capture the VP, and they actually, interestingly enough, used the razor wire to their advantage and build up a sandbag behind it, so they can use the razor wire to prevent the enemy from using the sandbags against them, and then they just can defend the sandbags from enemy sandbags, the VP, not the fuel point from enemy attacks. Sorry, just a lot of bad brain damage for me right now. Meantime, left-hand side is being pressured by some American troops. Some defenses are going down for Kleinereimer. However, his main defenses right now are his mortars, because he needs to use these mortars to deal with not only the, of course, 81mm mortar, but also to deal with the 3-inch mortar emplacement soon enough. In the meantime, in the center, we have, of course, Grenadiers coming through and trying to recapture that vital fuel point, but it's not going all that well for them. Finally, we have Ruhesh Webelage going for a mechanized regiment, and you noobs of my team make me sick is finally building his battle headquarters back into the base, so he's going to be able to, of course, defend that a little bit better than he would normally be able to if he had built it over here. So that is going to be able to survive quite easily. Flame Half-Track finally solves the sandbag problem and allows these engineers to recapture the fuel point. However, the Flame Half-Track is being chased down by some riflemen that are now Ved 1, so of course they can use that anti-tank rifle grenade, but chasing down a Flame Half-Track is not exactly the best possible occupation for a rifleman squad. I would definitely want to be doing something else if I was one of these guys, and in fact, they're going to come in, and there's also an MG42, and of course, just a few casualties, but they're going to be forced away because there was no way for them to get into range of that Flame Half-Track. And yeah, lots of buildings going down for the Brits. We have a Bofors on the right-hand side with the trench, of course, still standing because it is, of course, the British trench, so you can just easily kind of leave it there. And we have some mines going down, so lots of defenses going down for the right-hand side. There's also an AT gun that's able to protect this area against any kind of light vehicles that the Germans might be going for. Of course, this is going to happen soon enough because Ruhesh Webelage does have the Lukes coming through. In the center, there isn't really much, but on the left-hand side, we see, of course, a 3-inch mortar emplacement, and there's a lot of American fighting positions coming through. There was a fighting position over here which was destroyed by some incendiary grenades. Then there's a fighting position coming through to defend the mortar pit from any attacks coming in from the center. This bunker's still around, and soon enough it's probably going to go down to the 3-inch mortar emplacement fire along with the 81mm, but also the Axis are pushing through with a lot of flames, so double Flamer Sturmpioneer from, of course, Ruhesh, and also the Flame Half-Track are going to make for a nice barbecue of all these allied troops. They're going to need to escape as quickly as possible. Left-hand side is being kind of harassed by the Brits, but there's way too many German troops. They need to absolutely retreat these infantry sections as quickly as possible, especially considering the extra damage that the Flame Half-Track is going to be doing to troops entrenched in buildings. And right now on the right-hand side, we have a massive swarm of allied troops just kind of pushing through. This rifleman squad from the Germans almost goes down to the Bofors, but now, because of all... yeah, actually, Broswell's going for tank hunters. So this is a very dangerous anti-light vehicle squad, plus a lot of Brens. So this is going to be quite dangerous for the Axis, both anti-infantry and anti-vehicle in one blob. Let's see if they have enough defenses set up around the field point to prevent, once again, the field point being decapped and captured by the Allies. Of course, the pick for Broswell is going to be very effective against the Lukes and against the Flame Half-Track, but right now the Flame Half-Track and the Lukes are basically on the other side of the map compared to where he is. So I wonder if he's going to be able to do anything with this, and yeah, he's trying that right now, but he's forced away again by a flame grenade, and of course a nice flank coming in from you noobs of my team make me sick with his Sturmpioneer. So very, very good, well played by the Axis, managing to force away the anti-tank and then come in with their light vehicles. The Lukes is now chasing down those infantry sections and basically just kind of forcing them away. Interestingly, Bofors barrage just kind of comes down. I wonder what that's going to do. Probably nothing. On the left, the infantry sections are just kind of coming through and trying to help, but it's not going to go down well for them. Very nice rifle grenade coming in from those Grenadiers, wiping out the entire squad and making LL Nyang be in a very, very bad position. Here comes the riflemen, and they're also going to get wiped by these Grenadiers. Absolutely murderous rampage going on for these guys, but eventually they're going to be forced away, and the mortars are dealing a lot of damage to the Axis infantry as well. Here comes an incendiary grenade from these Volksgrenadiers. The Lukes is also helping out, but finally it's going to meet its match in the form of the Captain, and the Captain with its bazookas are going to try to do something, but there's a lot of obstacles in the way in the form of these walls and the trees and the bushes. So of course bazooka is going to miss and the Lux escapes. Right now, the Germans are in a good position. They do have the advantage when it comes to resources, slightly because of the extra munitions point that they have. Soon enough, if the Allies are going to be able to capture this strategic point, they're going to be in a good spot. But overall, the Germans are also in a good spot when it comes to the VPs, as they do have more VPs. However, they have lost, well, they have more control of 2 VPs, but they have lost more VPs to the Allies. Rocket launcher for the Allies is on the field. That means a Katyusha. So Katyusha for Brosras, rushed at 10.5 minutes, basically 11 minutes. Good idea for Brosras. He's going to be able to just kind of pressure the center and the left-hand side a lot, especially these mortars, which have been revealing themselves to be a big threat. There comes a push attempt from these riflemen. They almost go down, so Landwehr barely survives with that squad. Very lucky. Here comes the Katyusha barrage first and for all, destroys the mortars completely and almost entirely flattens them, but they're probably going to survive as weapons. And this MG is going to allow the Germans to keep control of these mortars because, of course, once the Allied infantry comes through, they're going to get suppressed and they're not going to be able to capture those weapons. You do need to be unsuppressed to be able to do that. In the meantime, in the center, we have a bit of a scuffle coming in. Of course, the mortars are participating in that, but really just seems like the Axis are going to be able to capture the center. And that's, of course, quite good because right now they're triple capped, and that would be quite bad to let the Allies have that advantage. Let's go over the doctrines. Of course, Ruhisch Wibbeglage does have Firestorm. He's also got 1,000 manpower, so I wonder if he can just, he's got mechanized regiment headquarters. He could go for a couple of extra Raketwerfers to help his AT defenses and his allies as well. He could go with an extra Volksgrenadier squad. He's only got 2. Overall, he needs to use that manpower or else he's going to be basically a dead weight for his allies to carry. That would be quite bad. You noobs in my team make me sick. Does still have the tier 4 coming through. He has not chosen a doctrine, but he does have fortifications, breakthrough, and special operations, so Command Panther is very likely for him. He's got the Schwerpanzer quarters. He's going for a support gun, and not a lot of troops are on the field for him, so he's basically in need of some extra beef at this moment. He might also want to put in a little bit of extra pressure up against the Brits on the right-hand side because right now they're just kind of sitting pretty with this Bofors and, of course, this machine gun on the right-hand side that is really covering down the area quite well. Kleinreimer has gone for Jaeger armor from the start, and of course that's going to mean the Elephant later on. That's kind of okay. He does not have any late game buildings actually completed, but he does have the battle phase free, so he can, if he so desires, complete the battle phase, the tier 4 building, and then get some Panzerwerfers out to counter these Katyushas, which are now just completely massacring the mortars yet again. So he needs to do something about this, and he needs to do something about this now. There's a second Katyusha coming through for Brosras as we speak. So of course the Luke's still doing quite well, trying to come through and destroy the Katyusha, but that is very unfortunate. It runs into an anti-tank mine from can conscripts build that, or only combat engineers? I think only combat engineers from Brosras. So very good usage of that stun mine, and the PTRSs just destroying that Luke's, putting an end to that threat once and for all. So that's very, very good for our Allied players, getting a good little bit of damage on the Germans. There's a Sherman on the field for Landwehr, but we're going to come back to that later, as it does a lot of damage, of course, to the infantry-focused armies of the Axis around the left-hand side. Big push coming through for Brosras. He's going to be able to use those PTRSs against light vehicles, but right now he's getting attacked by infantry. There goes a Cromwell for something. I'm guessing that this Pak 40 and this Raketwerfer had something to deal with that. More Katyusha fire coming through on the mortars. It's definitely suppressing them and preventing them from being too helpful, but the Axis infantry is actually winning the frontline engagements, so it's not really all that important for right now for the Axis to win with the artillery, because they're using their infantry to good effect, and they do not really have much of a need for that. There goes the Bofors from a last burst of merciful flame, destroying it as it was in a very, very weak spot from the support guns. Very, very good play for the Axis. Good coordination. However, the Flame Half-Track is subsequently suicided into basically the enemy lines. There it goes, dies to a mine. Tried to pop the smoke to escape from the AT gun, but it was not enough. A stun grenade attempt from the stormtroopers goes away. Last person on the Axis team that we did. Oh, Stuka Barrage comes through and doesn't do anything. Last person that we didn't look at for the Axis team is Robin Loxley. What has he been doing? He does have a tier 4, the Heavy Panzer Corps, so he could be going for Panzerwerfers if he still desires. But with elite troops having been picked from him, I'm guessing that he's going to be going for a lot of medium vehicles to supplement his Tiger Ace later on. And that would be very, very strong to see a Tiger Ace plus a couple of Panthers as a goon squad to just kind of charge down Allied tanks and completely destroy them with ease. On the Allied side, well, of course, the Germans, in the meantime, did go for that Stuka. I wonder who went for that. Most likely, yeah, Ruhe Schwebelage does have the Stuka on the field. So that is a way to spend some of your manpower. And the first barrage didn't do all that well for it. But the Stuka could be very, very useful in dealing with these Katyushas. We'll be seeing that soon enough with counter battery fire. Because, of course, the Katyushas is kind of very, very weak hull, it's very easy to destroy them. And here comes the Brumbeer for Kleiner Reimer, who has gone for the tier 4. So that's basically the Germans as a whole. Landwehr for the Allies has picked for, yeah, he's picked infantry company, so that's going to mean some priests later on. And right now he's going for a lot of riflemen. Do they have what I'm expecting? So there's a bazooka. Actually, no, only one bazooka on the squad. I myself would have expected a bazooka and a bar. Wait, does that guy have a... Is that an M1 carbine? Because it's got the mag in the bottom. How can a rifleman have an M1 carbine? That's weird. I thought only Rangers and paratroopers got M1 carbines. Huh. That's very weird. Yeah, that's definitely an M1 carbine. Well, I guess one of the guys in the squad gets the M1 carbine. No idea. I had absolutely no idea. Anyway, he does have the lieutenant. Sorry for the pause. He does have a lieutenant, a captain, and a major, so all the officers are built. Very dangerous to do this when there's a Stuka on the field. You could get your, retreat point just kind of nuked. He does have the Sherman, so tier 4 is available to him. And it's, of course, very, very good pick to go with the Sherman in the early to mid game, just to get that extra bit of plowing HE damage against the enemy infantry and support weapons. Right now, he's basically in trouble because of the enemy Brumbeer, but with the bazookas that he does have, he's kind of ready for it. Of course, I would definitely love to see, instead of double bazooka riflemen, I would love to see bazooka plus bar riflemen, just to get the extra bit of versatility. The riflemen are really too expensive to just use as an anti-vehicle unit. It's just a very, very dangerous role to use them in. So you want them to be able to fend for themselves against enemy infantry as well, which right now Landwehr is not doing. His ally, of course, LL Nyang, does have a couple of flame engineers from Mobile Assault Doctrine. Ugh, I hate Mobile Assault so much. We're going to see whether or not his land matrices at 8 CPs, he's at 7 and a lot, so he's going to be at 8 now. I wonder if he's going to be calling in those land matrices and trying to use those to just get the artillery superiority against the Germans. And it might work, considering he is using those flame engineers to very, very good effect. He hasn't called in any infiltration commandos yet, but we're going to see about that soon enough. He does have a heck of a lot of fuel, which he could be using. He does have tier 3, but he hasn't built anything, so this is very, very dangerous. Here comes the Stuka barrage. This could be very dangerous, but it has actually called in on the anti-tank gun, and it does not even kill the anti-tank gun. Right now, the Sherman's being pushed by the Brumbeer, which is actually doing quite a bit of damage to it, along with the Grenadiers. Grenadiers get a nice Panzerfaust, and along with the support of that Brumbeer, they're going to be able to push in very aggressively against the Americans. A little bit of an attack by Brostras into the center was repulsed by the Grenadiers. Brostras has 3 Katyushas, so he's very, very dangerous, as you can see, just popping that fire in on all directions, doing a lot of damage. Here comes some infiltration commandos. Yet more kills coming through for those Katyushas, but not really providing that much of an impact when it comes to wipes, it seems. I haven't seen really them wipe anything too major, and right now that means that there's 4 rocket artillery pieces on the field for the Allies, which is going to be very, very annoying for the Germans to deal with, but it might not be the best possible solution for their problems. And right now, as you can see, the Germans are still kind of keeping their map control. Here comes a Panther, which is also going to help in dealing with those Katyushas, because it could just hunt them down and murder murder them in the back lines. So far, 16, 18 kills for them. And interestingly enough, they're actually defended by a ZSU anti-aircraft, half track, and they're right now. That hold position is actually interesting. Right now, the anti-air half-track is going to be trying to deal with any Axis airstrikes against the Katyushas, or even recon runs trying to come through and spot them. So that's actually a very, very good choice for Brostras, because he had to build the tier 3 anyway to get to tier 4. And so getting that extra bit of utility with the anti-air support is going to be very good for him, because he needs to defend that artillery very, very much to the last. Vic, on the other hand, he hasn't picked anything, but he does have a Centaur AA tank that's going to be quite helpful against the infantry from the Axis. But the Axis, as you can see, are starting to pump out the Panthers. And once those start to come out in force and the late game really starts to gear up for them, this is going to be very bad for the Allies. The Allies are very, very weak when it comes to their actual vehicle forces, because the Katyushas really aren't a direct combat vehicle. The Shermans aren't really able to do too much. The only vehicle that's up to snuff right now is the Sherman Firefly. So the Sherman Firefly is going to have a lot of pressure on its head to deal with, and we're going to see whether or not Vic can use it well. Of course, he's keeping it in the forest right now, which is an interesting choice, because the forest is really the area where the Sherman Firefly is going to be easiest to flank and destroy at those close to very close ranges. In the meantime, push in the center with the Panther, going to be able to destroy at least one Katyusha. The free Katyushas right now are still safe, all of the other free, but as you can see, the Katyushas are very, very vulnerable to those Panthers. Right now, the Allies do have the VP superiority, they have a triple cap going, but the Germans have absolutely complete superiority on the battlefield, and as you can see, they're just completely smashing the Allies all over the map, managing to capture the left-hand side VP for themselves. They do have more fire coming through with Panzerwerfers, trying to counter battery the land mattress, but actually ending up destroying a lot of American troops, which is actually very, very effective, because they were trying to counterattack over here. Mine that was actually placed down by the Allies gets detonated by the Brumbears as big 152mm rounds, and this is going to slow down the Sherman. The Axis is still able to kind of hold the left-hand side with this bunker, and these Grenadiers are going to be able to capture the VP. The central VP is basically unguarded from the Allies, but it's kind of silently being guarded by the Katyushas in the rear, because they're almost reloaded, all of them. So if any Axis forces try to capture this area, I'm guessing that there's going to be some Katyusha barrages coming down. There goes the Sherman Firefly, not from Vic, but from LL Nyang. So that's going to be very, very bad for him. Terrible loss. Huge investment of resources that's going to go down the drain without really doing too much, especially considering that he does have the land mattress as well, which is also a pretty nasty investment of 350 manpower and 40 fuel. Here comes the massive Katyusha barrages, taking down one of the packs and dealing quite a bit of damage to weapon as well, almost completely destroying that infantry that was retreating through, which was very unfortunate. Stuka almost destroys the Vickers machine gun, but it survives. On the right-hand side, we have some more pushes coming through from Unubs. My team make me sick. He does have the Command Panther available to him, but he does not have the resources right now to call it in the field, but he's going to soon enough, I'm guessing. More Katyusha fire is going to be coming through soon. Brostras is nicely alternating the fire, coming in with 2 Katyushas at once and then leaving the other one available. There goes all of the American infantry that was pushing up. So Landwehr is left with only 2 rifleman squads. He's lost a rifleman squad and the lieutenant, trying to capture that Raketenwerfer and putting in some pressure from a very excellent Panzerwerfer barrage. So that's exactly what I was talking about, with that Panzerwerfer being an excellent and crucial part to the Germans' success. In the meantime, the M4 Sherman is doing quite okay on the left-hand side, pushing away the Axis infantry, but it's not using HE rounds, which is actually a bit of a shame, because then it would be doing even more damage to the Axis troops. Right now, there's an elephant on the field for Kleinemeyer, and that would be used a little bit more effectively, I think, in the center, as right now we have a Sherman Firefly just kind of pushing through for Vic, and he's, along with some support from Brostras, able to just completely come in and smash some of these weapons. He could recapture a 6-pounder anti-tank gun, but he does not elect to do that for some reason. And of course, now that the PTRSs are free, they destroy that for them. And right now, it just kind of seems like there's a bit of a stalemate in the center while the allies are pushing in on the right. Sorry, I had to take a bit of a sip of water. Oh, that's bad. Panther hits a mine, and this could be very, very bad. It's basically exposed, but it's covered by the elephant and a whole heck of a lot of infantry. So the allies might send in a Sherman right now, but that's a bad choice because there's a big, big elephant, tries to destroy it, fails because the Sherman gets behind some buildings and manages to escape the line of sight. But right now, things are not looking that good for Landwehr. He's only got a priest and a Sherman and a couple of infantry squads. And overall, he's just kind of getting suppressed by that Stuka so hard. His AT guns just kind of have to play very safely. He's even got a stolen pack. Loses another infantry unit to the Panzerwerfer barrage and risks losing his last infantry squad. Very, very lucky that it does not. The Command Panther is on the field for new noobs on my team, making me sick. And right now, there's four Panthers, a Broom Bear, and an Elephant on the battlefield with another Broom Bear coming up. So the Germans really are gearing up their late game, and this could be very bad for the Allies right now. I don't see them. I don't see them having a good time against all of this. Brostras is finally going for some T-34 76s, but that's, in my opinion, a little bit of a mistake. With all the Panthers that are on the field, I would have gone for some Su-85s. Of course, his allies have plenty of tank destroyers. Vic has a Sherman Firefly, and he's going for another one. LL Nyang had another Sherman Firefly that went down, but he has managed to rebuild it, and so he's got a Sherman Firefly as well. And Landwehr is going for the artillery with the priests, or at least the gun artillery, whereas of course we have Brostras with the rocket artillery. And right now the Germans are spotting them with the flares from Unubs of My Team Make Me Six's special operations doctrine. So this could be very, very dangerous. Of course, here comes some German tanks trying to help out against Katyushas. Katyushas noticed that there's a flare and escaped because of course there was also the danger of this Stuka coming in and counter-battering them and destroying them all in one fell swoop. At the same time, the Stuka, since it sees its prize escaping, it does decide to fire in the center at this massive blob of allied infantry. It does not take out the infantry force for Brostras, but manages to take down an MG, a Vickers machine gun. And right now, all of the allied, essentially, all of the allied units in the center are being forced to withdraw back to base. But the anti-tank gun line is still holding and getting a lot of damage off on this Panther. Tulip rockets just barely missing the Panther that was very, very deftly dodged by Robin Loxley. So he was able to escape that. Very, very good play. The Germans coming through on the right-hand side actually run into a bit of a steel wall of allies. So Tulip rockets managing to get a very good stun off on the Command Panther, and then a couple of... What? Destroyed the engine there? I have no idea, but here comes the T-34 76s coming through, trying to ram something. I've heard the ram engine sound, but it doesn't really work. Looks like anti-tank guns and Panther is putting an end to that troubled engagement. And right now the Fireflies are trying to push through, but there's way too much smoke blocking the line of sight. The Panther in the center is taking a lot of damage, but it's going to get covered by the Elephant as it escapes. Of course, actually it was a anti-tank grenade from the infantry sections that destroyed the engine of that Panther, because we do have some tank hunter infantry sections from Vic, who has chosen special weapons regiments. So kind of an analogous choice to Brostras with the tank hunters. So he's going to be able to get a little bit of extra anti-vehicle support from his infantry, and of course very, very strong resupply half-track. He does not need that, however, because he does have the weapon racks researched already. Of course, the star of the doctrine would be the concentrated fire operation, but also the Crocodile is going to be useful later on to deal with German infantry pushes, such as what the Germans will be trying to do to recapture this right-hand side VP, which would be crucial for them right now because, of course, as you can see, the Allies have 409 VPs to their control, whereas the Germans only have 213, which... as you can see, is not a very good position to be in for the Germans, because they are right now very, very much pressured to act rashly and send in their infantry suicidally to capture some points, because they don't want to lose even a single one of those precious tickets. And right now, that would be why the Allies are able to get so many favorable engagements, even when the enemy basically have complete superiority when it comes to vehicles. The Axis still didn't manage to get too good of an engagement the last time around. So that is because they were just kind of forced to send in vehicles pretty much all over, trying to pressure the Allies as much as possible on as many fronts as possible to get at least one of those points capped. And in the end, they kind of failed, but they got a lot of kills off on the Allies. However, the Allied artillery is still in play, and of course, Katyushas coming through, doing quite a bit of damage. We have 22, 27 kills between them. Of course, we have to also factor in the one Katyusha that died. Land Mattress doing absolutely jackal, 11 kills, but I mean, it's just kind of missing, and it's very, very, very much an easy target for the rest of the Axis sort of counter-battery squads of mortars. Where are they? No, they're dead because of the Katyushas. So, of course, the Land Mattress is able to fire unimpeded because of that. Right down on the right side, with the Sherman Fireflies trying to deal with these Panthers. Of course, right now, Unoobs has lost his Panther, his command Panther, the one that he needed to keep alive as much as possible. But he's lost it, and right now he's trying to replace it with a Jagdpanzer IV, which is definitely a mistake because of all these Fireflies being around. I don't think a Jagdpanzer IV would be a very, very good choice for him. He's also kind of in trouble when it comes to the infantry. He's got 2 Obersoldaten squads, but they seem to be not having the best of luck against the British elite infantry, and that's kind of bad because those Obersoldaten are very expensive. Katyusha still kind of pushing through for the center, helping out the Allied infantry push. Interesting steal from these sappers, taking the medikit from, of course, the OKW. And right now, half an hour in, we have some time on target coming through. I have no idea where. Probably on this Schwerpanzer quarters. Actually, no, just slightly below it. I guess he was hoping that the Stuka didn't notice that and he would be able to destroy the Stuka. Anyway, what I would like to see right now for Landwehr and Vic would be to coordinate both the concentrated fire operation and the time on target artillery onto OKW trucks. They would be able to destroy a truck basically without fail with that combination, so that would be very, very good. Right now, there's also a couple of priests on the field for Landwehr that could be performing that role quite well, so I have no idea how those trucks are still around. Looks like a bunch of Stuka rockets destroying that blob for Brostras. Brostras coming in with the T-34-76s, flanking the Panther that was pushing in a little bit too aggressively, and right now, T-34-76 tries to come in and ram the Panther, but it fails. And interestingly enough, the second T-34-76 decides to not chase through and destroy the Panther, which has a damaged gun. On the left-hand side, we have a big push from the Axis, but it's not really coming up to anything because the Allied defense right now is pretty solid over here. It's only being kind of buckled by this Brumbeer, which has basically murdered 35 infantry for Kleinerreimer. So Kleinerreimer has a lot of manpower in the bank, a lot of resources in the bank, but he has a very impressive force of a Panther, a Brumbeer, and a Elephant. So he's right now in a very good spot to be very aggressive and just kind of trade favorably or even, and then just replenish his forces with his very, very massive resource pool while he does a lot of damage. Second Sherman comes through for Landwehr. Interesting choice, as there's way too many Panthers and Elephants and AT overall on the field for 2 Shermans to be very effective, but whether or not he can use them to good effect remains to be seen, as right now, as you can see, Brostras is losing his T-34-76s. He has lost the one over here, or no, that was this one. And right now, the Panther comes through, gets rammed by the T-34. There's also a lot of Allied AT in the area, but it's not really able to do too much, as this AT gun is being flamed out by those Volksgrenadiers. Attempt at a PTAB bombing run on the Panther fails over here from Brostras. Of course, that was a very, very unfortunate loss, because that is 180 munitions that can be very, very effective against enemy vehicles. But thanks to these Fireflies, the Panther goes down. So 2 Fireflies plus a Churchill Crocodile over here for Vic is a very, very strong squad that is going to be able to deal with pretty much any threat. However, it needs to come through and help in the center, as the Germans are just kind of pushing through right now, and there's nothing for the Allies in the area that can stop this push, it seems. Panzerwerfer completely demolishing these Allied anti-tank guns, which could be very bad. Right now, the Elephant Tank Destroyer gets rammed by the T-34-76, which has been very, very liberally thrown into the meat grinder once again by Brosras, who's down to 1 T-34. Miraculously still has 1 T-34, despite the fact that he has been using his T-34s extremely recklessly. On the right side, the Panther's trying to come through and destroys the Sherman Firefly somehow with a nice flank, probably, I think. And the Sherman Firefly is now down to half HP and tries to escape the Piat-equipped Obersoldaten, thus allowing the Panther to just kind of bully away at the Churchill Crocodile, which is very, very bad. In the meantime, on the center and the left-hand side, the Germans are pulling through with all their armored superiority and their, steel might, just completely destroying the last remaining vestiges of Allied control over the left-hand side. They do have 2 Panthers that are going to be able to easily destroy these Sherman Fireflies from close range, but they're teetering around and not really doing too much. They're also pushing in without too much infantry support. So as you can see, because of this Panther just kind of roaming in a little bit too far to the back, it is now unable to destroy the Sherman Firefly once and for all, even though it is very, very low. Sherman Firefly is also getting a lot of damage off on the Panthers, which are now forced to pop the smoke and escape, even though they could have pushed in and destroyed the Sherman Firefly once and for all. What the hell is happening? I have no idea. It's just basically constant action. Sherman Firefly on the center and left-hand side somehow survived all of that and is now... wait, what died here? Is that a T-34-70? No, that's a Su-85. I have no idea where that Su-85 comes from. I didn't even see it being built, nor reach the battlefield. So overall, I'm out of water. That's bad, because right now I'm very, very much in need of more water. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Katyushas. So 1 Katyusha went down. What happened to the second one? I have no idea, but we are down to 1 Katyusha. So this is 1 Katyusha dead, another Katyusha dead. The other one is the one that died earlier over here from the Panthers. So only 1 Katyusha is on the field left for Brosras after all of that. Okay, so the Axis emerged from all of that in a very commanding position over the battlefield. They have the left side pretty much completely on lockdown. They have huge swarms of Panthers just kind of roaming around the map. Kleinemeyer has an elephant, 2 Broom Bears, and a Panther. Robin Loxley has 3 Panthers, a Panzerwerfer, and, well, nothing else. You noobs in my team make me sick has a Jagdpanzer IV. He's lost his Panther, which is actually pretty bad. Ruhesh has lost his Panthers. Did he ever have Panthers? Yeah, he did. He did have 2 Panthers at one point, and he's lost them. At this point, I have no idea what he's going to go for. He still has a Stuka, but he has lost his original one, so he's lost all the veterancy that came with that as well. Right now, it seems like the Wehrmacht is coming through with a lot of the vehicle advantage for the Axis. The vehicle force is mainly Wehrmacht Panthers and Wehrmacht elephants and such. So what the Wehrmacht really needs to do right now... Oh, another very, very good stun mine on that Rumbear. What the Wehrmacht needs to do is just kind of sit back a little tiny bit, repair all their vehicles, and then coordinate their efforts along with the elephant. If they can just kind of surround the elephant with Panthers, the Axis tank force is going to be basically invincible to any Allied attempts. Here comes an excellent Panzerwerfer barrage, almost completely wipes out these conscripts from Brosras, who's going to be able to actually push in with one of these conscript squads. He's going to be in a very good spot, actually, because he's got the RPG-43 anti-tank grenade, but he runs straight into his own Katyusha barrage. That's very, very unfortunate. He's going to be able to get a nice damaged engine off on the on the Brumbear, very luckily avoids narrow death from his own Katyushas, and the Brumbear goes down to the coordinated fire of the Su-85 and the Sherman Fireflies. So the allies are definitely switching to a lot of tank destroyers. We have 2 tank destroyers from LL Yang and a Comet, so a little bit of nice variety in this composition. Of course, getting the nice advanced medium tank on the field as well. We have finally Sherman, not a Sherman, an M36 Jackson coming for Landwehr instead of Sherman's, is what I meant to say, which is actually basically what he needs, because right now Sherman's is just not going to cut it against all those Panthers. And finally, instead of some T-34-76s, an Su-85 for Brosfrost. On the right-hand side, we still have Vic with his Sherman Firefly and his, of course, Churchill Crocodile. What's really good for him is that even though he's lost one of his Sherman Fireflies, he's lost the non-veteran one. So he's still got a veterancy-free Sherman Firefly ready to go, which is going to be excellent to deal with any kind of German vehicles. This thing is a beast with the veterancy-free. He does have extra penetration and more damage, which is, of course, the nastiest combination you can think of for a tank destroyer. More Fireflies coming through for him, so the Axis are going to need to find some way to deal with this allied tank destroyer lineup, and it seems like they're kind of doing that by going with a lot of tank destroyers of their own. As you can see, Ruhes Wegbelage has gone for a Jagdpanzer IV of his own, and that could be pretty bad because, I mean, if he loses that, Jagdpanzer IV is going to have wasted quite a bit of resources, and it's much easier to lose a Jagdpanzer IV right now than he would a Panther because of course, the fixed gun, making it easy for the Allies to come in and flank it, as they're trying to do. In the meantime, in the left-hand side, it seems like the Panthers were repulsed by the Allied tank destroyer swarm, and of course, the right side is going to be quite well defended by Vic, which is exactly what the Allies want to see. I mean, we have 2 players coming through against Vic, and he's just able to hold them back without really breaking too much of a sweat. Command Panther from Your Noobs in My Team Make Me Sick eats Tulip Rocket, and this is going to be very, very bad. It's still under line of sight of the Allies. They're going to try to chase down with the Sherman Fireflies, but there's a lot of stuff over here for the Axis that can try to save the Panther. Of course, Sherman Fireflies managed to actually chase it down and kill it, which is very surprising. That's not what usually the Sherman Fireflies are adept at doing. But overall, this is very good for the odds. It is allowing them to have more breathing space because of this extra VP that they have under their control. With the extra VP, then they have more time to just kind of rebuild their forces on the left-hand side and push for the center, or, of course, the left with their infantry. Speaking of infantry, it seems like when it comes to that, LL Liang and Vic, so the 2 British players, are the ones that are in the better way for the Allies. Brosfrost has those free conscripts that are still alive with those PTRSs, but right now there's a lot of threats that can deal with those, especially considering the Brumbear and the Panzerwerfer and the Stuka. The Panzerwerfer is up to 52 kills, which is absolutely murderous, and right now it's going to get even more, 53, and if it's allowed to fire, I'm guessing that with this conscript blob that keeps coming back and back for revenge is going to be once again pancaked by the Panzerwerfer. But hey, that's going to be in the future. There goes one of the Su-85s from, looks like a combination of Stuka barrages and anti-tank fire. Here comes a big push on the right-hand side trying to deal with the Fireflies, but the Fireflies are going to be turning things around with the Tulip Rockets. Of course, that's where the veterancy free comes in. Attack round into the smoke. Very, very good dealing with the extra Panther, but there's another Panther coming through from Robin Luxley, and there's just way, way too much. Of course, that's a triple team at this point against Vic, so there's going to be very, very, very bad. Destroying the Churchill Crocodile in this offensive is not going to be that good for the Allies. Of course, they're going to need to find some way to replace that and its anti-infantry capabilities, although, of course, Vic's infantry does have quite a lot of anti-infantry capabilities of its own. The Churchill Crocodile was just so much more useful because of not only its ability to deal with infantry, but the ability also to kind of keep itself alive and take shots for the Sherman Fireflies. In the meantime, these priests are still firing over the center, not really doing too much, 23 kills between them, but doing a little bit of harassment work, it seems, against the tanks. And at some point, they're finally gonna realize that there's some OKW trucks around, and they're gonna start to fire against those, but I wonder when that's gonna come. More Stuka barrages, dealing a lot of damage. Panzerwerfer also coming through, missing the MG34, or sorry, no, the 50 caliber machine gun. Also, Stuka barrage misses the 50 caliber machine gun. So very, very lucky guys over here, managing to survive all of that. Bunker coming through on the center. That's a very decent choice to try to get a little bit of extra suppression to defend the middle VP, which right now the Germans are trying to do with all their might. They only have 167 VPs left, whereas the Allies have 270. So if the Allies can keep this... ooh, damn. Wait, what? Oh, that's the P-tab voice. So if the Axis can keep 2 VPs under their control, they're going to have a lot of time to just kind of flood the map with their heavy tanks, which is what they're doing, and that's of course very, very much in their interests. Kleinermeyer does not have any room for anything in Spop Cap, but he could go with some Panzerwerfers. Of course, he went for a new Pioneer squad, so that's kind of okay. Robin Loxley also almost at pop cap, but he's got 3 Panthers and 1 Panzerwerfer. Panzerwerfer once again firing over the center. It seems like it's gonna do a lot of damage to these sappers. Almost takes all of them down, but very luckily for the Allies, doesn't completely wipe any of the squads, I think. Yeah, all of the squads managed to retreat. In the meantime, there's another push coming through on the right-hand side for Robin Loxley, who has fully switched, it seems, at this point. But at this point, we also have Brosras supporting the Allied defense with a Su-85 and a T-34-76, which is going to be providing a little bit of extra support. Looks like a stun mine from Brosras, also providing very, very good utility. Once again, stunning up that Panther. Panther only survives because of Panzer Tactician. And no, this is a very, very bad push for Vic. He's going to be pushing in the Fireflies very close to all of the smoke and the potential dangers that might be lurking in, aka the Panthers. At the same time, however, it seems like the Panthers are just kind of fish in a barrel right now. They're being completely boxed into the trees, and one of the Panthers goes down thanks to the support of this infantry, providing spotting and lines of sight for the tanks. Tanks keeping the fire going and almost destroying another Panther. Once again, almost destroyed but saved by some smoke, in this case the smoke of his own dead comrade. And at the same time, in the center, we have a bit of an allied push that's forcing back all of the Axis tanks, along with a very nice push from these conscripts that's only going to get stopped by the mine, the shoe mine. The conscripts murder all of the Sturm Pioneers that were repairing there. Another mine stops yet more of a conscript charge that's going to be able to get some good anti-tank grenades in on these Jagdpanzer 470s. The Jagdpanzer 470s are only saved by the fact that there is way too much Axis infantry for these Fireflies to push through this area and get in behind them. Speaking of getting in behind them, there's a Jackson that's managed to get behind all the way, and I have no idea what it did over here, but it's interesting. I think it was trying to get to the Stukas, but it didn't manage to do too much. There's a Panther actually reversing into it and just race carring through the trees and trying to get to it, but it's not working. Left-hand side, there's an infiltration commando squad trying to get through, and it's going to fight the stormtroopers, so it's a commando fight. And right now, at close range, I'm guessing that these Stens are going to win, but there's a stun grenade. Only stuns one guy, then immediately dies. So, of course, the infiltration commandos to dodge move into the range of these 2 Brum Bears and are completely murdered and executed. In the left side, LL Nyang is only has only gotten his existing vehicle force up and running. He's still got 4 squads of flamethrower Royal Engineers, which are very, very useful at dealing with enemy troops and buildings, and are also pretty decent at just kind of pushing in and being a nuisance. And of course, with 4 repair engineers, he's able to just very, very quickly fix up his vehicles, like this Comet tank, and that's quite nice. But more Stuka barrages are just coming down and destroying the Allied anti-tank gun lines, which is allowing the Germans to come in with their vehicles, especially these nasty Brum Bears, which is now up to 52 kills plus 55 kills. Because of all of that, the Axis is just kind of in a bad spot right now, and yeah, overall, I just don't see... Well, sorry, not the Axis. The Allies is just kind of in a bad spot. And I don't see how they're going to be able to come back in the center and the left. The disadvantage that they have on this side is just so very heavy that I don't see them coming back anytime soon. However, the center and the right is still going quite okay for them. Brasras has transitioned from all those Katyushas, so being the artillery support, into being sort of a jack of all trades. He's got his infantry, which is very, very useful. He's got a couple of T-34-76s, which are very, very strong at dealing with Obersoldaten and any kind of infantry in the woods. And of course, soon enough, they're going to get Veteran C1 and be able to use secure mode. And he's also got the Su-85, so he's got a little bit of extra anti-tank support, as well as the Katyusha that is still alive with 18 kills. More conscript switches through the center. This is actually very dangerous because, as you can see, all these German vehicles are in a very low state. The Panzerwerfer tries to come in with the barrage and forces the conscripts to run away for their lives. At the same time, the Fireflies are just kind of overwatching the battlefield. These Fireflies from Liang do have quite a bit of veterancy, but they haven't been too effective at dealing with the Broom Bears because of the Elephant. So the Elephant in the center has a very, very nice sort of open line of sight to fire through, and the open line of sight is allowing it to suppress these Fireflies and keep them from being too effective against the Broom Bears. And the Broom Bears have been keeping the Allied infantry at bay in turn for the Elephant. So this has been working out very well for the Germans. Stuka Barrage almost destroys the Katyusha, but it also destroys a mortar, I think. Yeah, a mortar. More Katyusha barrages coming through. Also a Stuka close air support strike almost destroys the Priest. Yeah, there was a Stuka bombing strike from Kleiner Meyer, the, of course, Jaeger armor doctrine. In the center, the Comet is still around. The Comet has Veterancy 1, but it's right now kind of outclassed by the fact that there's this Elephant that's protected by so many Panthers. It's not really able to use its speed to its advantage, and right now it's just kind of taking a lot of damage from these Yak Panzers, which is not what it wants to not what it wants to see or do. And here comes the Panzerfaust, which is going to be very bad for it because right now it's in a very bad spot. Of course, it's right in the open for the Yak. Not Yagd, the Elephant, to destroy. And yeah, as you can hear, you know, the announcer isn't too happy about that, understandably so. So we're gonna see another Comet coming through, but it's gonna not have the veterancy. ISU, no, sorry, that looked like an ISU 152 from Brasas. Of course, he is tank hunter, so he cannot go for the ISU. But that's a vet-free Su-85 that's almost as dangerous as the ISU 152, along with a ton of T-34s and a ton of British armor as well on the right-hand side. That's just kind of using the forest as a base to spring some traps in on the German vehicles. More damage in on that Jagdpanzer 4. Jagdpanzer 4 is in a bad way. Also, the other one is in a bad way because of the Churchill Crocodile pushing in and being a shield essentially for the Su-85s and the Fireflies. The Fireflies and the Su-85s, however, need to be careful because of their left flank, which could be destroyed at any time. T-34 is trying to push through. They're going to find a King Tiger that was just kind of chilling in the base for some reason, and the King Tiger is going to be able to, along with the support of the Yak Panzers, finish them off. They were, I think, trying to come for the Stukas and the damaged Jagdpanzer, but it was not enough. Damaged Jagdpanzer, which is now up to Vet 4. Looks like a Brumbear went down from the Fireflies and the Su-85. Su-85 is still pulling in some, I guess you could say, negative influence on the Elephant. The Elephant is kind of afraid of pushing into the center area because of not only the Su-85 but also the Fireflies. Su-85 almost goes down. T-34-76 bravely sacrifices its life to save the Su-85. Will it be enough? I mean, this thing has the spotting scope, so it's going to have a very, very nice extra bit of line of sight, and it does manage to destroy the Su-85. Panthers are now going to use the opportunity because of the absence of that to charge through, but they're going to essentially be met by a nasty volley from some Fireflies and the Jackson. Luckily for them, their frontal armor just kind of holds up, and El Nyang only has enough munitions for one salvo of tulip rockets, and he does not even do that. So at this point, however, the Elephant decides to charge through into the smoke, and that's a very, very bad choice, of course, because there's a lot of Allied troops in the area. They're going to be able to try to surround this Elephant. The Brumbear is actually going to be able to defend it against the infantry quite nicely. There goes the Comet from all of the Panthers in the area, and thankfully for the Axis, the Allies are not going to be able to deal a decisive blow to the Elephant and capitalize on the huge mistake that it committed in there. Even El Nyang losing one of the Sherman Fireflies and of course the Comet, so very, very good engagement for the Axis. However, on the extreme right, despite the Churchill Crocodile going down once again, these two Fireflies are just a massive, massive, massive threat to all of the German vehicles in the area, and these Jagdpanzers are just paying the price and going down by, going down by the fire of that Firefly squad. There's now 3 Fireflies in the area, so this could be very, very dangerous, especially if the second Firefly reaches vet-free. 2 vet-free Fireflies is going to be a very, very scary force if well microed. But at this point, we finally have the King Tiger that's going to be able to pull its weight into the fight, and its weight is very, very heavy indeed. It's a fat piece of a tank. If it can just kind of act as a breakthrough vehicle and soak up the damage for the Elephant and the Panthers, then it's going to basically do its job and help out in dealing with the infantry as well, because of course it's very, very strong anti-infantry 88mm gun. The Axis is only down to 75 points. At this point, the Allies actually have the superiority when it comes to VPs. They have the central VP under their control, and they have the right side VP also pretty much under lockdown, which could be very, very bad for our good Axis friends. But they do have a good push coming through for the center, along with the support of artillery and vehicles to capture that. Tulip rockets trying to destroy the infantry failed. And at this point, these Fireflies tries to come through and destroy the Königstiger. They're going to get kind of poked at by the Veteran C4 Jagdpanzer, which is, of course, a very, very evil vehicle to deal with. PTAB bombing strike tries to come through, does a little bit of damage, and right now the Veteran C5 Jagdpanzer is in bad shape. The T-34 should try to ram, and it is going to do that. Is it going to be able to destroy it? No. At this just very, very last possible moment, does not destroy the the Jagdpanzer. At the same time, there's a nice flank from Loxley coming through with the Panthers, but he's going to get stopped by the Tulip rockets, and the Veteran C3 Firefly, along with a lot of T-34s, are going to try to push away these Panthers. 1 Panther goes down, 1 Panther per 1 Firefly is an okay trade, and right now these Fireflies firing at maximum range are now absolutely demolishing these Panthers with the support of the T-34-76. That is exactly what the Allies wanted to see. Very, very good micro from these Fireflies. However, the T-34-76 is going to be left to its fate because of this anti-tank superiority locally by the Germans, forcing away the Allied tank destroyers from the area. In the meantime, El Nyang has managed to get another Firefly on the field, and he has been able to push back the Germans back to their base, but the Germans still have a lot of artillery up their sleeve. It seems like the King Tiger is alive, but one of the Stukas went down in that engagement somehow. I have no idea how. There's another Jagdpanzer on the field for you noobs make me sick, and of course he's still got his Veteran C5 one, which is very, very, very dangerous with that cautious movement and the ability to do extra damage from ambush shots. More Stuka fire coming through, almost destroys the M5 half-track, or sorry, the M17 half-track, which is very lucky. More damage coming through on these Fireflies. This Elephant is just so strong against Fireflies, and it's able to deal another death blow to one of these very, very expensive tank destroyers. 8 kills, of which 7 are vehicles, so you can imagine how much damage has been inflicted by this very, very strong anti-tank vehicle. Definitely paying for itself at this point. If most of those were even just Shermans, normal Shermans and not Fireflies, it would be already paying for itself. But yeah, there's not much that the Allies are doing to try to stop this thing. To do this, they would need to flank it, and flank it quickly. Here comes another Stuka bombing run, and it's going to go down. Another squad goes down from something. I have no idea what is happening. The Germans actually captured the right-hand side, so this is a very good move by the Axis. They now get a nice harassment on the right-hand side, forcing a little bit of extra British attention to here. And of course, because the Axis only have 56 points, just barely stopping the VP bleed for the center to be recapped. Here comes the Panzerwerfer barrage. Could be devastating, but it doesn't really do too much, only destroys a mine. And the Panzerwerfer is in a bad way because there's a tank hunter section that's chasing it down. Gets a nice heat grenade off and destroys the engine. So now with the boys AT rifles firing in from the rear, it might be able to destroy it, almost destroys it, and it does with the rifles. So that terror of a Panzerwerfer is now finally dead with 71 kills. Never gonna bother Allied infantry ever again. And Loxley, to replace it, is going to go for another Panther. At this point, it seems like the Germans are really lacking when it comes to anti-infantry, but it doesn't really seem like they need to because of all their artillery absolutely flanking the center. And, of course, the Broom Bears still being very, very much active. It looks like the giant vet-free Broom Bear was destroyed and replaced by a Veteran C-01, and the earlier one is also starting to get a lot of kills of its own. Along with the KT in the center, the axis seems to be pretty okay when it comes to the anti-infantry, but on the right side, there isn't really a lot of anti-infantry on the field, except for a King Tiger. Okay, never mind. And yeah, so there is one vet-free Firefly and another vet-free Firefly in the area. They're going to be able to do quite a lot against the King Tiger, which hit a mine, and that's very, very bad. Here comes some Tulip Rockets, lots of damage on the King Tiger. Let's see if the Allies can actually finish this thing off. They're going to be able to push in with the Royal Engineers to provide spotting for the, Fireflies. At the same time, the left-hand side is being completely overrun by Germans, and they're able to use those vehicles to maximum effect. Land matches once again being remanned and getting some fire in and absolutely being worthless as expected. King Tiger on the right side goes down. Huge push from the Allied infantry. Completely catches the Germans with their pants down. And the Panthers have to limp back. Or not really limp. Actually race back to base. And finally, the unholy trinity of Vic. The unholy trinity of the Brits has been completed with 2 Fireflies and, the Crocodile yet again pulling themselves onto the field. This could be, very, very effective at dealing with pretty much any threat, as already explained. And it is, in fact, doing that well. Huge smoke and fire coming through the river and, the streams because of the Churchill Crocodile. I'm guessing it's going to lag the hell out of the computers of, Robin Loxley. And right now, his Panther is trying to desperately escape away from the Fireflies. It does manage to do that. And right now, the Allied vehicles are kind of trapped in the stream with the Churchill Crocodile taking some Panzerfaust fire from these infantry squads. It might go down if the Axis can just kind of pull in enough forces and flank it. However, in the center, if the Allies can't capture the left-hand side or the center, they're going to be in a bad way. Right now, the Allies need to do something to harass the left-hand side, just like the Axis were able to do on the right-hand side, because if they harass this left VP, then they're going to be able to stop the bleed as quickly as, they would like to. Maybe not, but at least as quickly as possible. Maybe not as quickly, as quickly as they would like to. And right now, that's what they need to do. They need to find some way to get those last 56 points of bleed in for the Germans. And I feel like the best way to do that would be to just be as annoying as possible. Right now, Landwehr, with these 2 priests, isn't really able to do too much. I mean, these priests aren't doing anything. Despite the kills that they do have, 40 of them between them, it's just they're not having much of an impact on the battlefield. So what I would suggest is use these priests to destroy this bunker and then come in with some infantry. But right now the Allies are just gonna headbutt into the center yet again, and I mean they're doing some damage against the Germans, of course, also thanks to their artillery. But Kleinermeyer over here, Kleinerreimer, just has so much when it comes to just units. He's got everything. He's got anti-tank, he's got mobile anti-tank, he's got anti-infantry, he's got fodder, and he's just able to keep that area under his control because he's just superior when it comes to, unit composition somehow still, despite the fact that he hasn't really changed anything throughout the last, 20 to 25 minutes. And right now, the Allied main base in the eastern flank is very, very much secure. So what we should see is, after this area is secured by perhaps an MG, I do not know why Vic isn't not building a Vickers machine gun to, place down over here to safeguard this right side VP. We should see more Allied action pushing in towards the center. Of course, the Axis is still putting up pressure on the right side, which is a very good idea in my opinion. Just keep Vic there as much as possible, while perhaps their main forces hold the center and the left-hand side, which is what they're doing. because that's going to allow for the most favorable concentration of forces for them, because their players on the right side are their weakest, whereas Vic is the strongest for the allies. So as you can see, concentrating in this kind of a way, it's going to be advantageous for the Germans. The allies are down to 134 VPs, and that's not all that much. So you know, if the Germans can just kind of keep this going for a little while, then they're going to be in a nice spot. Attempt at a harassment move completely fails the demo charge, actually, because of the Minesweeper from the Pioneer Squad. And overall, this is going to be very bad because there's a double cap, at least. So the Germans are going to get quite a lot of VP damage in on the allies. And right now, Brostras is very weak with only 2 T-34-76s and the Firefly, or not the Fireflies, the Katyushas. The T-34-76 tries to come in, but it's going to get surrounded by Panthers and go down. At the same time, the conscripts are trying to help, but it's not going to be enough. And right now, Brostras is just kind of fighting alone against all these Panthers, and it's not going to be all that savory for him. At the same time, in the center, there's a lot of Allied tank destroyer action, but because of the Elephant being in the area, again, because of the huge line of sight, the Elephant can just kind of poke away at maximum range and push away these tank destroyers. In the meantime, there's a bit of a push attempt from You Noobs in My Team Make Me Sick against the Fireflies, and it's kind of doing well because one of the Fireflies is back at base repairing, and so the Crocodile can't really be defended successfully by only one Firefly against the Veteran C5, which is now also going back to base to repair. In the center, things are going still well for the Germans because the Elephant can just kind of sit back unopposed and fire. Yet another kill for it. And yet another kill if it's allowed to fire its last remaining round against this guy. So this Elephant just kind of being able to unopposed fire through has been such a boon for the Axis. The Allies just have no counter to this thing because they cannot find any way to flank. And the Allies, in a way, just kind of bought themselves into this problem. I mean, what I mean by that is that they purchased so many tank destroyers instead of going for advanced mediums like, well, of course, Comets for the British players, for example, T-34-85s for Brostras, in case you were to pick something else, and for the Americans, instead of course, infantry, you would have had to go with either rifle company or heavy cavalry company. But yeah, going with a lot of advanced mediums might have helped in, you know, going to either toe-to-toe or at least almost toe-to-toe with the Panthers, and then having more mobility to chase down and get behind the Elephant with flanks, which is exactly what the Allies need to stop this thing, instead of just kind of buying a lot of tank destroyers, which is what they did. With tank destroyers, the only thing that they can do is just kind of stand off against the Elephant, and in that kind of a fight, the Elephant wins every time. So overall, not the best kind of, you know, options for the Allies in either way, but I feel like a more aggressive build order by them might have been very, very useful, because right now they're in a pretty much unwinnable situation because of this. The Elephant is just kind of lording over the center of the map, and there's nothing the Allied tank destroyer squad can do about this thing. As you can see, once again, the Jackson tries to come in and gets plowed by the Elephant. So yeah, here comes a big push actually. T-34-76s along with Fireflies and Churchill Crocodile is going to absolutely massacre one of these Jagdpanzers. Sorry, that was the 4th Jagdpanzer actually. The 3rd one is taking a lot of damage, and the T-34s are pushing through, but the Fireflies are not following immediately, which is going to consign the T-34s to a lot of unnecessary damage. Here comes more damage over here against the Jagdpanzer 4. The Germans in the center are just kind of pushing through, and they have no fear. They're just plowing in, and they're taking losses, but they're also dealing huge damage to the Allies, it seems. However, once the Elephant reaches the fight, the Allied, you know, luck is going to probably run out. The Sherman Firefly is going to be deleted off the battlefield by the Elephant as it notches in a 10th kill to its count. There we are. And right now, on the right-hand side, it's not enough. It seems like the Firefly was either forced to retreat or destroyed. No, it was forced to retreat, but the T-34-76s died in the rear. I have no idea what they tried to do. Probably go after the Stukas if there are any left. But the Stukas are still alive, so it was a failure. And yeah, the Sherman Fireflies are still coming in. Of course, the veterancy free from these two is just very, very dangerous, as I told you. But the veterancy 5 Jagdpanzer is also very, very dangerous, so they're gonna have to retreat. And also, the Elephant is still around. 43 kills on the second Broom Bear. So a huge number of kills also on this Broom Bear. There's a flank attempt by Robin Loxley. He's gonna try to get behind and go at the howitzer mortar carriages, the priests, and I don't see how the Allies are going to extricate themselves from this situation. I mean, Vic is still holding the right side, and the Allies are down to 86 points, which is, not the worst, but the Axis is going to capture the center, and there's nothing the Allies can do to stop the Allied, tank swarm, or not the Allied, the Axis tank swarm, especially with the support of that Elephant. And right now, there's also a veterancy for Stuka, just to add insult to injury with, of course, those nice flame rockets. And right now, the King Tiger is going to push through in the center, along with all the Broom Bears, all the Panthers. There's nothing the Allied infantry can do against all of this because of all the sheer sort of HE potential that there is, in the area. The Fireflies are trying to, as desperately as possible, to help, but once again, the Fireflies are squishy, so whenever they come in and do some damage, they, take some damage, and then they have to retreat as quickly as possible. And right now, the Jagdpanzer 4 is going to try to capitalize on this and, destroy the Firefly. It's not going to succeed, but it's at least going to scare the Fireflies off, which, is going to be very good because the Axis is going to buy time with that. And time is all they need right now to finish off the Allies when the Allies are down to 71 VPs and the Axis have VP advantage. Here comes another nasty Stuka bombing strike. The Axis are just pushing in Pioneers to capture these points because there's no Allied infantry or units in general left to oppose them. The Crocodile is trying to push in against the center, but there's no infantry follow-up for it, and there's no, units that can cover it, or at least right now. Of course, there is an anti-tank gun and a veteran Firefly, but there's just too many German vehicles. As you can see, they're coming in with a King Tiger, 2 Jagdpanzers, and a Panthers, so it's not going to be enough. And, the Crocodile has to retreat and be repaired, which isn't enough. Here comes another nice, harassment move from these Volksgrenadiers. Just one Volksgrenadier squad able to defeat this infantry section thanks to good usage of the incendiary grenades against the trench, and it is going to be able to at least capture or neutralize the right-hand side VP. Another attempt for the center is going to be defeated by the MG42, and that's going to be it for Brostras. He's going to quit and be replaced by the AI, and I'm guessing that the other Allied players are going to follow suit very soon. One last hurrah attempt at destroying that Panther, but once again, the Panzer Tactician saving it in the hour of need. That ability is just so very strong. I feel like there should be a delay added to it. It shouldn't be instant. And right now, there's just nothing that the Allies can do. After an hour and 10 minutes of brutal match, they're just out of vehicles. There's nothing that they can do. I mean, the 2 vet-free Fireflies, this Doom squad of the Brits, is still around. 9 kills for this one. How many of those are vehicle kills? 8. And then 2 kills for this one. 1 is a vehicle kill. That just got upgraded. So 11 kills. Or sorry, 10 kills, 10 vehicle kills between these two is almost as much as the Elephant with Elephant 12, 11. So, I mean, as you can see, these two have been their teams as respective MVPs, but the Elephant is just superior when it comes to, the kind of engagements that we've been seeing. There goes another Panther, but it's not enough. As you can see, the Axis is just kind of slowly but surely edging towards the base, and they have been able to come in and, push them away from the VPs long enough that the Allies are down to 22 points. The Allies are not surrendering, but with all the artillery that's falling down on their heads and, of course, no infantry available to come in and capture these points, it is probably going to be the GG coming through, and that's going to be a very nice game overall. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this replay. As always, link will be in the description for my email. You can send more replays down below if you want your replay to be featured on my channel. And if you enjoyed, drop down a like. It helps to understand, what you like. And I hope, I'll see you soon. See ya. Yeah, 10 points. The allies are just gonna let the clock run. The elephant is actually in a bad way. It might go down before the game ends. There's an attempt by the Firefly, and it's not enough. It bounces off the frontal armor. Interesting that the Firefly bounced. And a flank attempt is not going to have enough time to succeed. So yes, as always, I'll see you soon, hopefully. Thank you for joining me for this great game. Damn. Oh god, sorry.